This is a preview of a game that hasn't made it out here yet, but is on its way. It's called Ash, Archaic Sealed Heat, and it's supposed to be out sometime this year in the US. So far I haven't seen any plans for a European release, but we can hope. First off, I want to say that I'm only going to show some of the very earliest parts of the game, so there won't be any spoilers. This is a preview after all, and I don't want to ruin your enjoyment of the game. I've been playing the import version from Japan, and I wanted to tell you guys about it because I'm enjoying it quite a bit. First off, the game is made by Mistwalker, the studio founded by Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, as well as Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, to name just a few. On this project, Mistwalker worked with a developer whose name I can't pronounce correctly. They're sort of a no-name Japanese developer whose most notable game, in my opinion, was Bomberman 64. Ash is an interesting game. It's a strategy RPG, but it also combines some normal RPG conventions into the mix. The graphics are a strange mix of bad and amazing. On the bottom screen there are very simple sprites that look like they belong on the Super Nintendo at best. But once the battle starts, the graphics ramp way up to FMV quality. It's a strange mishmash, but I think it works. The small sprites are expressive enough, and the video characters look really amazing on the DS. The music in this game is outstanding. When I was playing it, it reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy XII, and a little research shows that I was dead on. This game is scored by Hitoshi Sakimoto and Masaharu Iwata, the talented composers behind not only Final Fantasy XII, but also Vagrant Story, Final Fantasy Tactics, and the entire Tactics Ogre series, just to name a few. These guys are pretty much my favorite composers in video game related music, so this is an awesome addition to the game. So far, the combat seems to be very similar to most strategy RPGs. You either move, attack, or use spells on a big grid-based map. But the big difference here is that when you attack someone, it goes into a second battle screen that's more like a Final Fantasy game's combat screen. From there, you choose from the usual attack, defend, and item type commands. It's very basic, but I'm finding it to be pretty fun. I have a feeling there's more depth here that might be lost in translation, but even with just this stuff, I'm finding it pretty fun. The controls are all touchscreen, but they work for the most part with the mostly overhead perspective. I tend to dislike this type of control in strategy games, but this one does it pretty well. I did select the wrong space occasionally, but the game lets you move back, so it wasn't too bad. I also thought that the double tapping to select everything was a bit excessive, but I didn't mind it too much. You kinda get used to it. I wish I could comment on the story, but since it's all in Japanese, that's just gonna have to wait. A lot of it's easily figured out by body language and facial expressions, but I would recommend waiting for the English version in this case. RPGs are generally tough imports. So far, I've played about 3 or 4 hours into it, and it looks like this is going to be one to keep an eye on once it makes the trip over the ocean. Let's hope this happens sooner than later. I have a feeling this one is going to be pricey though. At the time of its release, it was the biggest DS game available, and the first DS game to need a 2 gigabit cart. Big carts usually end up passing their prices on to the consumer, but I'm still hopeful that it'll be cheaper than some of Square's latest releases. That's it for this preview. I hope you saw something you liked, and until next time, this is Ben, signing off.